Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello and welcome to the Rational League. This is one of my favorite shows of the week. I will kick off my weekend with this, of course. This is a brilliant show. To be honest with you guys, I've been enjoying this show more than before we just renamed it for some reason. Like, I don't know why, but it has been better for some reason. Big up everybody that joined us. Hit that like button if you're watching us now. The like button helps the channel massively to go to the next viewers. And I'm gonna say one thing, right? The content is dead until Man City drop points or a big transfer thing happens. Bro, this is the reality of the content. Arsenal play Manchester United and no one wants to talk about the game. Like, no one cares, bro. I haven't seen, like, bro, Lee Gunner was doing a show saying, sack him if he doesn't win against Man United, and instead of actually talking about the game. Because nobody believes that Man City will drop any points, right? So I need your help, people in the chat. I need your help. I'm going to say what I said yesterday on El Ahwa when we actually came up with this. You can super chat a topic. We can spend about whatever. We can spend 20 minutes or 30 minutes on one topic. Super chat a topic, but don't super chat a topic that is dead. Super chat an unpopular opinion or something. And don't do like, oh, for $1.99, we're going to discuss Arsenal's future for the next 10 years. We're not going to spend half an hour doing that. So if you're watching this now and you want to help us, help us. But listen, we're going to talk about Manchester United, of course, versus Arsenal. We'll talk about Manchester City versus Fulham, on the beach Fulham. And also talk about Darwin Nunez, Jurgen Klopp backing him to stay at Liverpool. And Tom wants to talk about Young Player of the Year. Should we start there?
Why not?
I am happy to start at the farce of the Young Player of the Year award.
Go ahead.
It's not Young Player of the Year, is it? I mean, it comes down to what you constitute as young. I don't constitute a 24-year-old as young, especially in a footballing sense. That's probably the middle of your career for most players. But we're classing that as Young Player of the Year. A lot of the better youngsters in the Premier League have not had the recognition they deserve this year because we've had to chuck the same 6 people who are over the age of 22, some of which have like 2 children now, in this award. Let me just pull up the list again, just so I can make sure that I'm correct on this. I will tell you the players who I think should be categorized in this Young Player of the Year. Young Player of the Year.
There's 3
so
of
you've
them,
got
right?
There's Cole Palmer deserves to be there. Kobbie Mainoo is a bit meh, but he fits the requirements at least. I'll at least give him, fitting the requirements.
He's better than Declan Rice based on Ahmed, but fine.
And the other one that I'll accept is Destiny Udogie. Saliba's a little bit of a meh one. Like, Saliba could, but I think Saliba's played a lot of football already at this point. But we've got Alexander Isak. Now, I don't think he should have been nominated for Player of the Year anyway, because he's not been better than Solanke, all things considered. But he's now nominated for Young Player of the Year, despite the fact the man was born in 1999. 1999. We're in 2024 now, people. We're in 2024 and we're giving it on 1999. What are we doing, man? What are we doing?
Yeah,
Young Player of the Year should be 21 and under.
I prefer if it was like, in the NBA, they have like Rookie of the Year, for example. It would be nice if they did like a similar thing where it's either like your breakout season, however we define that. It's like your first season where you've played in like 20 league games or something, or it's like your debut season and you are under 22 or whatever. That'd be more interesting, I think, because there are some players who like Foden, for example. It's great he's been nominated. That's fine. He technically fits the criteria, but he's going to be 24 later this month. He's been playing. He was still. His first games for City were when like Yaya Toure was still knocking around.
So how come he wasn't under 23 when the season started? How is he nominated?
They have to be 23 or under on the opening day of the season.
Yeah, and like as Tom says, just makes it. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it just makes it like so. Like,
why is Gabardio not there?
Don't know, because Haaland's there, because Foden's there for some reason. See,
Gabardio is a better winger than Jack Grealish, for real.
I also think there needs to be a change to it in the sense that you can't win Young Player of the Year more than once. I don't like that idea that
Yeah.
someone
Yeah,
could just win Young Player of the Year for 4 years. Once you've won it, you should be excluded from the nomination.
Yeah. I also just think I agree that it shouldn't. I don't think it should be age related, because even if you take it down to under 21, right? Kobbie Mainoo could still be nominated for the next 3 years, and at that point, by the third year, he'll be an established midfielder for Man United. Like, it should be, if at the start of the season you've had less than 15 Premier League appearances, that's a random number, but something like that, then you qualify as a rookie.
I don't mind it being like you can have X amount of appearances. I just think the age has to change from 24. We had Raheem Sterling winning it in 18-19, despite the fact he made his debut in 2012.
I know why actually they have it 23 years old. Because the league is moving away from young players.
But it isn't now, as we've seen.
It's not.
There's a lot of young players that should get nominated.
How many
this year
young
that
players
haven't.
do you have, Tom?
So if I was to pull
Only
up a list of-
Szoboszlai,
Harvey Elliott,
Harvey Elliott. So the
Kwanzaa.
problem is,
Connor Bradley.
yeah, the problem
Kwanzaa,
with
Bobby
that,
Clark.
the problem is that they need superstars. They need PR names. These are not PR names.
But that's
If
what
you
player of the year
nominate
is for,
Conor
surely.
Bradley, who gives a shit? If you nominate Conor Bradley, who cares? But if you nominate Alexander Isak, you know what I mean? If you nominate Foden, if you nominate Saka, and also they need
So then there's no point in doing the awards then. There's no point in doing the awards because we're not
But you
giving it
know
to the
that
best
the
young
award-
player. We're giving it to the guy with the best PR, which then
But
makes
they
the award
yeah.
pointless.
They should be in they're just in the player of the year. The player of the year, you should have 8 superstar names, and then the young player of the year. And if you did, let's say you made it the under 21, like you just said, if we started with you have to be 21 and under at the start of the season, that would mean Foden, Haaland, Isak, and Saliba would drop out because they'd have been too old. So then you've got 4 spots. Then you can look at players, Jared Branthwaite, Murillo at Nottingham Forest, Gvardiol could be in there. Pape Sarr from Spurs, Caicedo. Yeah, there's a lot of players that could fit in.
Hold on,
there.
why is Van de Ven not there?
Maybe Van de Ven. How old is Van de Ven? I don't know how old he is.
Yeah,
Van-
I just like
He's like 21 years old, bro. 23
Yeah.
as well.
Van de Ven was born the same year as me. Oh my god!
I just like if we had like more awards, like I don't like what a lot of American sports do, but I've recently got into basketball. I do like the amount of awards they have. Like they have got like defensive player of the year, and they've got rookie of the year. It would be interesting. Maybe we could have like debut season of the year or something. So like like a player who's like 26 coming in and like and they have a really good first season. Maybe there could be an award for that. I just think it'd be more interesting, and it would mean
breakout
that
player of the year could work.
Yeah,
breakout
that
player.
too. And it means that for these younger players, it means that they have more of a chance of getting in. Like you mentioned Gvardiol, for example. I think he would have been a much better shout than a Haaland or a Foden from a City perspective. And it gives these younger players a bit more credit and the potential to win an accolade.
The most improved as well. I think most improved would be a fantastic award. That like Joe Linton, for example, he was horrendous, but he became a centre mid and was boss, and there was zero recognition for that. If there was a most improved player, you could see players like that come into it. I just think the way the award system is done in the Premier League now is massively flawed, and therefore it discredits the awards in a sense and makes them carry less weight. We should expand it. We are the biggest league in the world. We should be celebrating a lot of the players in this league. The fact that Young Player of the Year has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the same players as Player of the Year makes it fucking pointless. Because ultimately, what happens if, let's say, for example, Phil Foden wins Player of the Year? Logic would dictate then he should win Young Player of the Year. Because if he's beaten all his competition out to win the Player of the Year, he's in turn beaten all his competition out to win Young Player of the Year. But that won't happen. So the awards lose weight. The awards lose meanings. And that is the problem.
Also, by the
you
way,
can't flaunt these things and do award ceremonies for these things. Have them be pointless.
Do you know they fucked up big time? If Foden wins Player of the Year, he cannot not win Young Player of the Year. By definition.
Yeah, well, and that's why it was such a farce.
They just fucked up. They fucked up.
But they did it. But that happened last year, right?
That's what I mean.
Which is fucked up, right?
Which was like so weird. It's like, he won PFA Player of the Year, so by definition he must also win the other awards, but he didn't. So it just makes the whole thing a bit of a.
Who did like Haaland? Yeah, Haaland, and then they gave it to Saka.
The PFA one, yeah, but it was like logically that doesn't make sense because if the Player of the Year was. PFA Player of the Year was if Haaland was a PFA Player of the Year and he's also nominated for Young PFA Player of the Year, then by definition he must win both. but he didn't. So it sort of makes it come across as like a weird situation, and it, it just sort of like lessens the credence of these awards, which is a shame because we should live in a world where they matter and they do have value. But I feel like maybe it's like old man Nobbins talking. I feel like it's got worse in recent years. I don't know. Maybe
like
that's just me. I just feel like the awards have lost more meaning again. Maybe that's just me getting older.
Don't make sense, as we established on Monday, where you can sit there and look at there's about 3 different awards which can all have 3 separate winners. So in 2010-11, you've got the FWA, which is the football writers. You've got the Premier League, which is voted for by the
you got Football London and Stockoglu.
That's a separate one. That happens at end of year. This is end of season, and there's PFA Player of the Year. There's 3 separate awards. Did you know in 2010-11, 3 separate players won Player of the Year? Scott Parker won it, Vidic won it, and Bale won it. So who was Player of the Year? Which one do you put weight on?
Oh, there is one with the fans, the EA Sports. You actually vote.
Yeah, so that's the Premier League Player of the Season. There's the football writers, and then there's the PFA players.
I thought the PFA is the one that matters.
So then, are we taking in account? So then, what's the point in the other 2? Then it doesn't make, because all of them are put on separate weight. So FWA's already been decided. Phil Foden's won FWA. So all the journalists in England think Phil Foden's been the Premier League Player of the Year. So then what happens now if...
Why do the journalists matter more than me?
I'm not saying they do, but who do you look at?
For
what award
do,
carries the most weight?
For that award, football writer, and there is the PFA where coaches and players vote for it, and there is the fans. I don't know how to vote for it because the problem is the fans. Arsenal fans are a lot. They're going to all vote Declan Rice.
No, but so this is one of the other issues.
By the way, this is why you put Odegaard there.
This is maybe, but this is the other issue with the fan vote, is that if your club has 2 nominations, it splits the fan vote. Whereas a club that only has 1 player nominated, every fan will vote for their 1 player, and they're more likely to win.
But they are
maybe smart. That's why they put Odegaard in there instead of Saka, because
they didn't put Rodri, they put Haaland, knowing that no Man City fan will vote for Haaland. They'll all vote for him. But for Arsenal, half will vote Odegaard, half will vote.
So then we sit there and then we just accept that these awards are farce, and there's no point. I mean, going back to the Young Player of the Year, because we have to include 5 of the PFA Player of the Years, we're now seeing the likes of Garnacho, who I think has had a good year for United, not have a nomination, or Lewis Miley for Newcastle.
I believe Garnacho deserves to be nominated.
Not being nominated, or Malo Gusto, or Harvey Elliott. All these young players who are below the age of 21 have missed out because Alexander Isak, with a mortgage and 5 clubs already on his resume and having moved for 60 million quid, gets to be nominated for Young Player of the Year. What does that mean, man? What does that mean for like these awards? How the Premier League awards are sorted needs to be changed. It needs to be expanded. And not only that, the Premier League Hall of Fame, I'm going on rampant, it sits with me. All American sports treat Hall of Fame like a massive achievement, and it should be. You're the best in your sport in the history of that competition. And we have a Twitter post.
Yeah,
they massively, the way they've rolled out the Hall of Fame, they massively fucked it up because they front loaded it with all of the ultimate Hall of Fame nominees that you would have. Like the first people you'd think of to go into the Hall of Fame is what they've started with. I think long term, the plan is to turn it into an Americanized big event. But by the time they actually set that up, instead of it just being Twitter posts, we're going to be down to
welcome Gareth Barry. Everyone on your feet for Gareth Barry.
Exactly. So I feel like they've massively jumped the gun early doors with that, and it won't end up being a big thing.
I can understand people's worries about the sport being Americanized, and I do share some of them sentiments. But there are some things they do really not.
Yeah,
there are some things
more
that they
fun.
do correctly. If people don't care about the awards, let's make it fun. Let's have a laugh. And then you know what? It might put some credibility back into them. Because right now, you look at who wins Player of the Year and you go, well, fucking hell, what's the point? It's fan voted, or it's this, it's that, this credits it, this credits it. So you just sit there and go, well, what's the point? There needs to be a change to it. And this season isn't the eye-opener. This has been a problem for years on end. But I feel that this year it is in the public eye more.
Why
because of the notable omissions.
I care about only player of the year. Like, who's gonna win player of the year? But that's just me.
I mean,
I think
we
when
only,
you've
we
got-
only
I
care
believe,
about that
I
because
believe
of how it
that
is.
holds a lot. I believe this young player of the year doesn't hold any weight.
I think
at
even player
all.
of the year, it could be a really big thing. If they
No,
made
no,
it into a
Saka
really
won
big
player
thing.
young player of the year like 2 times now. Who cares?
Yeah, but so
But
here's the thing,
that's
right?
problem.
I think for a lot of clubs, as an Arsenal fan, it doesn't actually matter too much to me because Saka's already won it and he's still our youngest player we haven't brought through an academy player
Exactly.
since Saka, right? So for me, it's not a massive deal. But I guess if you are a club that's got some young prospects that you're proud of this season that have had good seasons,
And you want to
and they're
sell
not
like
getting-
Chelsea.
and you want to sell, or you just want to, give them the recognition they deserve, and you're not getting the chance to because, like I said, Saka. Still, next season, Saka will count as Young Player of the Year, and the season after that, Saka will count as Young Player of the Year. Like he is going to be closing on 300.
He's gonna have
appearances.
400 appearances for Arsenal,
Yeah.
and he's still young player.
Still
of the
Young
year.
Player of the Year.
Saka has 260, I think, appearances for Arsenal.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And the other thing is then as well, right, is that you
Some
can
players'
take...
career is 250 games.
Exactly. And the other thing, by the way, is
Yeah,
now,
true.
like when I talk about signing players, if I mention signing a player that's already like 27, 28, half the chat will say, oh, they're too old. So we've got 24, 25-year-olds that are in Young Player of the Year awards, and 27, 28-year-olds are considered too old to sign. So we've got this completely like warped perspective of age in football, where there's only basically a 2-year spot.
I don't understand these awards. I really like this young. I care about who's gonna win player of the year, but that's about me. Guys, over 300 people here. We're on slow burners because you have not liked the video. We aren't even on 100 likes, and we have over 300 people here. Come on, people, hit that like button. And as I said, if you need anything that you want us to discuss, you can actually share your opinion in the chat, of course. Let's just move on to the actual weekend discussion on Arsenal versus Man United. This game, in my opinion, is just very important for one reason, because I believe this is the game on Arsenal. If Arsenal win this game, I actually, for some reason, I have this feeling that Arsenal will smash Man United, and it will prove that Arsenal have matured a lot from last year, because this is a very tough game. I don't know, it's not a derby, but it's one of the biggest games in English football. Man United want to spoil the party. Still Arsenal with a shot to win the league. If Man City drop point, Man City are going to play before them. How do you see the game, Rory?
Yeah, I've got a feeling we smashed them as well. I've been saying this for a few weeks, even before their most recent injuries. I've just got a feeling, and I'm sure it's been clipped up by this point because I've said it enough times, but
yes,
I've just got a feeling that we smash them. I feel like we're in that mode now where we're playing really good football. United have got so many injuries, they're so deflated. I can only imagine they're focusing really on the FA Cup final now. And it's like even today, Mason Mount is now injured again. Lisandro Martinez is back in training, but Ten Hag said he's not going to risk him for the game. So what's that going to be? Casemiro and Johnny Evans at centre-back again? And apparently Johnny Evans wasn't even fit for the Crystal Palace game. He actually failed the fitness test.
He's injured.
Yeah, he failed a fitness test, but they played him anyway. So we're playing against Casemiro and a half-fit Johnny Evans. No Mason Mount. Apparently McTominay and Bruno are back in training. And that's it. So, you look at the team that played against Crystal Palace. Even if you add Bruno Fernandes back into that, I'm pretty confident. So, yeah, all we can do is hope that City have dropped points by that point. But
I'm sorry. Let's just keep it real. Arsenal should absolutely batter United, and that is the expectation. Let's put aside all this. Oh, we only have 4 wins in 34 years or whatever. This is a shit United side, and our worst results this year have been not beating that United side. You can hold it over my head all you want. I will agree with you. Drawing against Brighton, I'd hold that draw against Luton at a higher standard of difficulty than the draw against United. We fucked that up multiple times this season. United are an easy team to beat. And for an Arsenal side, which are for all intents and purposes, better and more clinical than Liverpool, it should be a job easily done. And the difference between then and now is there was still something for United to fight for then. There was still a slim hope of, United could nick a Champions League spot here, this, that, and the other. That's gone now. That's gone now. And there's some of them who probably don't even want to get into Europe next year. Be asked for the Conference League tournament next year. So for all intents and purposes, their only focus is the FA Cup. Their head is not going to be involved in this.
No, it doesn't work like this.
Arsenal trying to do this.
It doesn't work like
there isn't that same motive though. There's a difference when it is a Liverpool United and an Arsenal United. I'll keep it real. There's a difference there. Whilst United might want to do it because we've got a little bit of competitive integrity and stuff. The moment it starts getting tough and Arsenal start putting the pressure on, United will just crumble. And there's nothing for them to play for. There's nothing there. The big games this year, bar us, and we were our own worst enemy because we should have won them games based on the amount we created, but we were shit in attack and leaky in defence. Arsenal are good in attack and solid in defence. So the exposed areas where United nick draws and wins against us, that's not a problem for Arsenal. Why are we acting like, United could go get something? They've just held fort, Glasgow and Palace. And that team that's playing on fucking Sunday is the exact same side, bar maybe Fernandes. Fernandes is a good player. He's not a miracle worker. He can't suddenly turn a side that held fort to Crystal Palace and didn't know its left from its right, any sort of defensive structure all season, into a side that is rock solid and lethal on the counter-attack to beat what is, in my opinion, the best Arsenal side since 03-04. That's not the case. So Arsenal should win. It's not about smashing them. I think they could smash them, and I think it'll probably be like that. But they will win. They will win because this United side are horrendous, and this is probably the final nails in the coffin for Ten Hag's time at United, and the irreparable damage he's done to the brand of ball managers.
He's buried. He's 6 feet under, bro. He's
no,
done.
Mo. What it will be the final
bro.
nail. The final nail will be the absolute demolition job Pep Guardiola does at Wembley in that FA Cup final. That will be it. Where it's untenable. But
Man United are going to win that game. Man United are going to win that game.
United had to go on penalties to beat
them to use their luck
Coventry
this weekend, not in the
FA Cup. You're going to use the luck in the FA Cup final.
No. But that's what United need. If they want to have any semblance of any chance, it's going to have to be like when Liverpool visited. And the only reason they didn't get battered was because Liverpool's finishing was just a madness. And then they made two really weird defensive errors. That's the only way that United really have any sort of hope of any sort of slim chance.
Liverpool have played United 3 times this season and had over 100 shots.
And you haven't won.
And scored 5 goals.
And did you win?
No, this is my point.
But you didn't win.
We were our worst enemy in those games. But the facts are there. You will get chances against Manchester United if you are just in form and clinical at the right times, which Arsenal are, and you are rock solid defensively, which Arsenal are. You will have a great time at Old Trafford. You will have as much fun as you want at Old Trafford. If Arsenal want to go out there and put out a statement, Arsenal can go out there and put out a statement. If Arsenal want to take it easy to ensure there's no sort of fitness concerns or anything in the last day of the season, they go into a 2-0 lead. They trust their rock-solid defence to guide them through the game. We had neither. Do not use our fucking donkey and Puss in Boots front line as a barometer for what Arsenal can do. Because Arsenal are better than us at the minute. Arsenal are better in all the areas where we're not. So therefore, the problem areas that we had against United, Arsenal won't have. They are better set up to beat United, and they will beat United. And I don't know why everyone's trying to make out like this is a world where, you never know. It's Old Trafford, it's United. Old Trafford's lost its magic. Let's keep it real. It comes in bits and spurts, but it's not this feared ground that it used to be in the past where it was a fortress and you'd never get a win there and you were going there just hoping you could nick a draw. This is a game where teams can have fun. How many records this year have teams broken there? Bournemouth won at Old Trafford for the first time in years. Crystal Palace won at Old Trafford for the first time in years. I'm sure if I kept going through it, Fulham won at Old Trafford for the first time in years. I'm shocked that there's probably like a low-end team who've won at Old Trafford for the first time in years. That's what happens at Old Trafford now. And United, and there's nothing for United to play for. There's everything for Arsenal to play for. It just makes sense that Arsenal get the job done because they have matured. I don't need this game to prove that. This Arsenal side has matured because if they hadn't matured, we'd be at the same point they were last year. They would have fucked it against Tottenham. Then they would have fucked it in the game after that because the pressure was there. And then it would have spiraled from there. This is a different Arsenal side. 100% it is. That's what happens.
The
So
only
I have no doubt.
the only like half question mark is City win
There must
against
be an
Fulham.
Arsenal supporter.
City win against Fulham, and then United somehow keep it 0-0 at half time, and then the question becomes, because it's not be about what United can do, it's about what Arsenal can do. Like, this isn't a United story. It's about will Arsenal would they be able to deal with that pressure if City won? My instinct says yes. But that's the only half bit of hope I can hang on to. City win, and then it gets to halftime 0-0, and then maybe do you get a little bit nervous and jittery? I doubt it's going to happen, but that's the only thing I can really cling on to.
I actually think, based on the way that we've been this season, I think if you dropped points, we'd be more likely to drop points, because at that point we're back ahead. Like, as it stands, we're just the underdog that no one expects to win the title because everyone expects City to keep winning. I think we've been going into games like that recently, and that's kind of taken the pressure off. I think if you drop points, suddenly the title's back in our hands. I think that could set a level of panic in the team. If you look at the Villa game, right, that was kind of because Liverpool had dropped points. Suddenly, for 2 hours, the title was in our hands, and we failed. So, yeah, I think, look, the main thing is 3 points, but I do think this is an opportunity to go and, like, you're not going to get that many opportunities where you should be able to smash Man United at Old Trafford. And this is one of those opportunities. I think the gulf between United and Arsenal right now is the biggest it's been, certainly in my lifetime. So there is an opportunity there to go and smash them. And I hope that we do that. I hope we make amends for the 8-2s. And
I'm trying to do the like button, but it didn't work.
I'm just laughing at Ornstein. Henderson's not going to last at Ajax. Ajax got to sell Henderson.
Yeah, I just got the notification. I don't think it matters, bro.
Why?
He's not going to stay for financial problems.
You can go back to Saudi. You can go back and play under Stevie G again.
Guys, there is 400 people here. We need the likes to go up to 200 likes at least. Leave what do I need to show them? Like, what I stopped doing this a while ago. Would I actually stop? Like, close the live chat, guys. My phone is too bright for this. I think so. It's too bright for this. Here you go.
Yeah, man. Click the like button.
Here you go, guys. And then the like button is right here. It looks like thumbs up. Hit that like button. Couple of things that I wanted to talk about this game. How do you think Arsenal win this game? From which part of the game? We never speak tactically about games for some reason. Even though I think the four of us here,
every United game has been lost. The midfield and the gap between midfielders A, B, and C, which is the size of Old Trafford.
Defend in bulk.
No, no.
No, when Man United lost to Crystal Palace, they opened up. They looked horrendous.
Yes, but that's his United. That's it. Let's not act like that hasn't been United's thing all season. United just play like that. When they attack, they open up like that. And United are going to attack at points because they're at Old Trafford. And Arsenal have, in my opinion, the second best midfielder in terms of creativity in the league, in Martin Odegaard there, who is in some fine form at the minute and can pick out some ridiculous passes. And they've got Trossard, and they've got Saka, and they've got Havertz, who are all just going to expose that space that United leave behind.
I'll tell you one way that we score a goal this game.
What a corner.
Man United, corners maybe. Man United are horrific at letting players get to the byline, cut it back along the floor, and someone's there to put it in. I've seen a thread and a compilation of goals that Man United have conceded like that, and it goes on forever. It's unbelievable how many goals they've conceded like that this season. And
I think every team has scored one like that against them.
And we're very good at exploiting that. Down the right-hand side, between Odegaard, Saka, Ben White, getting to the byline, pulling it back is routine for us. So, yeah, that's one of the ways that I see us scoring. I mean, there's lots of different ways that I think we could end up scoring. But I think the big thing will be that we've been starting games really quickly recently. Even when we lost to Villa, the first half, we should have killed the game. I think if we go 1 or 2-0 up quickly against United, it could be a long day for them. So
it will be very long. It'll be absolute horror. Who even is their left back? Is it Wan-Bissaka? That's going to be great, isn't it?
It'll be Salah, Wan-Bissaka, yeah.
It'll be Odegaard and Saka.
Can I ask something about this
running
Odegaard
rings
and
around this
Arsenal
man.
thing, right? For Arsenal, is Odegaard being disrespected lately? I've been accused of this, that I'm not giving Odegaard the credit he deserves. Does anybody here think that Odegaard had this amazing season?
I think he had an amazing.
He's had an amazing second half. Beyond Dubai, he's been.
Well, I got accused the 2 days in a row in my comments. I got accused that I'm having an agenda against Odegaard because I say that he didn't have a great consistent season, and I would pick other players ahead of him. And they were like, "No, Odegaard is the guy for Arsenal."
It was fine from like August to December, but it wasn't like brilliant. I think that he's shown what he can do more so post-Jan. And that's the same with Saka, to be fair. Again, I thought it was fine August to December, but it wasn't as good as how he started last season. But then again, from sort of like January onwards, they've kicked into gear, as indeed the rest of us.
A lot of Arsenal players this year. Havertz was the same. A lot of Arsenal players have kicked on in the second half of the year. It doesn't mean they had a bad first half of the year. They've really kicked on.
No, yeah.
Yeah, we were just slightly dysfunctional. The first half, not even the first half, the first kind of third of the season, we hadn't really figured things out. We were a bit dysfunctional. The midfield was hit and miss. I think that massively affected Odegaard. The centre forward, there was still, a number of games this season where we were starting with Eddie and Nketiah. Don't think that helped Odegaard. But yeah, I think once everything kind of clicked into place, he's probably been our best and most consistent performer, certainly in an attacking sense, since kind of January onwards. So yeah, I don't know exactly what you say about him, Mo, but if your argument is that he's been consistent since November, which is the large majority of the season. But yeah.
Tevin is saying people think he's only good since Dubai, but he has been amazing since the end of October. That's the only issue I have.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, we say end of October. He actually only played one game in November. So, like, I can't really say November he was amazing. Yeah, that's the thing.
He got injured, and it was coming back from that. It was coming back from that injury, which I think was kind of end of November.
I would say the point where he kicked on was Wolves. I remember him being really good in the Wolves game. Can't remember if he scored or assisted. Yeah, the first game in December, he scored or assisted against Wolves. And then from that point on, you started to see the Odegaard that we were used to seeing last year, who I thought was one of the best midfielders in the league. Odegaard's had a good season because he's been good for the majority of it. But people are going, well, he's definitely a shoo-in for Player of the Year. And this is where it all comes back to that Player of the Year voting, which shouldn't carry weight. I think every Arsenal fan will accept that Odegaard from August to end of October wasn't necessarily consistent or at the level he showed.
Just not great.
Yeah, and that wasn't just necessarily down to him. Arguably, having a new midfield partner in Havertz who just didn't seem to work in midfield for large parts, constant rotation, this, that, and the other. There's a whole factors that play into it. Odegaard's had a good season.
So, what kind of midfielder Arsenal need next season? Which one of them? Is it a DM or is it a DM or a number 8? Because Declan Rice proved me wrong, right? Was playing the 8 in a position-based team like Arsenal. He's good going forward. He recovers defensively. He's the box-to-box midfielder. I still believe he's a very good DM. He's a fantastic DM because of his defensive attributes. But now I think every time I'm watching Arsenal fans on YouTube or even on Twitter, they are split. Do they need a left center midfielder? Someone like, I don't know, like someone that go up and down, like a Declan Rice, or they need an actual DM, like someone that plays at the bottom of that triangle?
So,
sorry, Rory, go on.
I don't think we have to go, and I don't think we are going to target one specific one of those. I think, because Declan Rice himself still keeps saying he might be the 6, he might be the 8. I think we go into this summer, and whichever one comes up that is the best option, whether it's the 8 or the 6, whichever one on paper is the ultimate option in terms of price, availability, I think we go for them, and then Declan Rice adapts to that signing. So it might be that the best option is an 8, and therefore Declan Rice becomes the 6. Might be that the best option is a 6, and Declan Rice becomes the 8. I think one thing they have to be able to do is progress the ball in the way that Thomas Partey does in terms of the speed and directness of his passing. I think one big thing we've seen since Partey came back in is the speed at which it gets out to Bukayo Saka first time from Thomas Partey. I think that's crucial. So for me, they need to be able to do that, but it could be a 6 or an 8. Ultimately, I think hopefully it'll be someone that can do both, because in the bigger games, it becomes a double pivot in the same way that we've seen it with Rice and Jorginho against City, against Liverpool. So yeah, I don't think we have to specifically target one at this point.
I think that Arsenal are in a similar boat to City, because again, this is like this season, because of how good Rodri's been, has become a, it is, people have been asking, is Rodri actually the Gundogan replacement? Should City just go out and get a 6 and convert Rodri into an 8? I'm of the view that that would be a mistake. I think that would be the same case with Arsenal as well. Just have a look at the market in general. The 6 market is a lot drier than the 8 market. So, in an ideal world, you get a player who can do both. That's fine. Those aren't very common. So if you had to err on one side or the other, and if you have a look at what Rice's best attributes are, I personally think it would make more sense to longer term have, again, there's no reason why I can't do in a 6-8 hybrid role at times, but in the main, have him as the more defensive minded midfielder, and then sign an actual Xhaka replacement rather than having Rice as the Xhaka replacement and bringing in a 6 to
when he said
space.
Arsenal similar to City, I was like, no, but Arsenal didn't go and sign Matthias Nunez and Kovacic and then next season they're gonna sign 2 new midfielders. Nobody does that, Nobbins. It's only City.
But they aren't 6s. What?
Like nobody have the privilege to do what you guys are doing. It's seriously, by the way, no one does this.
Arsenal can spend as much money as City.
It's not about
they have done.
Nobody have the privilege of signing 2 players, and if it doesn't work with them, you go sign other 2 players.
Well, no, because we say
it's not about signing Paqueta, Nobbins, and Guimaraes after signing Nunez and Kovacic.
We said it'd be stupid to doubt City though, because this has happened more than once under Pep. So it has become a trend where some of the signings don't necessarily have the impact first season and then really kick on second season. It's so
why are they going to go and sign Guimaraes and Paqueta then?
Because
when you get the opportunity to buy the best in class, you buy the best in class. That's how you maintain level.
Stacking the players. This is it.
Yeah,
Kovacic is a stopgap anyway.
Have it. But bear in mind, Nobbins can probably speak better on this. I assume Bernardo Silva's going to go this summer after about 7 years of flirting with the move.
You'd imagine
Bernardo Silva has not been a midfielder. He's been playing on the right side last season in the treble winner. You have Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri, Kovacic.
Bernardo Silva has been chucked plenty in the middle this year, to the detriment of City at points.
He has played in the middle a lot.
He has this season because he can't find the right balance. Because Nunez.
But then you also look now at the fact that Alvarez has played in the middle for a large part of the season as one of the centre mids, which isn't what Pep wants to do. But he's had to do that. Ultimately, we've lost. I was just going to say with Arsenal that it depends on if they think Declan Rice can learn to play out the back in the way that Partey can. Because I think Declan Rice is a fantastic defensive midfielder, be one of the best in the world this year. But at times he does spend, when he sees the ball from the centre-backs, a little bit too long on it. Like I say, 1 touch, 2 touch, wait for the play to expand in front of him. Thomas Partey's a little bit more incisive and just bang straight through the middle. It's riskier, but it's more often rewarding with Partey because he is so good at his job. For Arsenal, I think that if you're going to play with him in the 6, a guy like an Amadou Onana would be the kind of one you'd want to go for with a Rice. Because I think Onana's the guy, honestly.
I'm worried about
I think Amadou Onana gets a lot. He gets a lot of disrespect. I think it's hard to stand out.
Do you know this is when Arsenal, to be honest,
player in Everton.
Can I stop you here, Tom? This is this is Arsenal now. They have to go to the next level. They have to stop signing Onanas. Arsenal reached the level now. You have to go and sign the stars. You know what I mean? The stars like. Bruno Guimaraes? I'm going to tell you. For example, Bruno Guimaraes. I don't like him as more, right? But Bruno Guimaraes is a star of Newcastle midfield. Go sign that. You don't go and sign Amadou Onana from Everton. Arsenal should go and sign De Jong. If they're going to go and get one, they go and try, for example, they go and try with Inter for Barella. You know what I mean? This is the likes of, this is Arsenal's next. Going and trying with Onana again. They should move past this. Move past this. You know what I mean? Like, you go on and try to sign the star. This is Arsenal next season. Stop with even the Trossard. Stop with that.
Why stop with that though? Because they're the
Salah,
successful
they are
buys for
done.
Arsenal. But they've been the successful
this is
buys.
how you view Arsenal. And okay, for me, I'm looking at Arsenal. I'm thinking, move to the next level. Don't sign fillers, hoping that they will get better. Sign someone that is already played at the highest level. You should be now competing with Manchester City. This is the next level. Otherwise, if they don't compete, they have themselves to blame. If they go and sign Onana, and he's like, well, he turned out to be someone who's only good for a lower half of the table team, right? If they go and sign Bradsworth, whatever his name is, the guy from Everton, and he turned out to be someone who can only defend in low blocks or as a unit, cannot defend in spaces like Saliba and Gabriel, well, that's a big deal. You just wasted the money on someone. They should go on, for example, Arsenal, if they go on and want to get a defender now, they go to Barcelona and try to, for example, get Araujo, someone who plays a high line all his time at Barcelona, right? You come in, you battle it with Saliba and Gabriel and you see what you can do. Do you know what I mean? Arsenal should move from, okay, a player that can work or cannot work. They should move to the next level.
But then my point to that would be, if you're trying, Arsenal had a period of time where they were buying more ready-made players and it wasn't giving them the success. They have then pivoted to this model that they run off now, which is, Rory can probably explain it more in detail, but to me it looks like buying under the age of 25 who've already performed pretty well in a top 5 league, but with lots of upside. They have built up from 8th to title challenges with that model. Why would they all of a sudden pivot from a successful model to a model which is in their history being a lot more volatile and a lot less guaranteed successful? And we have no idea if this is how Arteta wants to work. I don't see why Arsenal should pivot away from a successful model. We done it, and it shot
because
us in
it's
the foot.
not successful. That's what you're missing. It's not. They haven't won.
No, because everyone looks at
it's
success.
Not successful.
Everyone looks at success in a very one-dimensional way, which is
because you
Arsenal
support
in the Premier
Liverpool, so
League.
that's why you look at success like it's all about progress. Because you won 1 league title and you rave about it.
It is all about progress, Tomo. Because ultimately,
no, it's not. At this point, it's not, Tom.
It is about progress. The next step for Arsenal is to win a league title, but they have been taking steps every single year using this model. Why would they move away from this model? Why would they move away from the success?
I think at this point,
the trophy's next one. Well, what am I? Am I speaking Japanese?
The model does have to pivot slightly in terms of a Declan Rice signing, even. In terms of a Declan Rice signing, even where the model has to slightly pivot at this point, just in terms of bringing in those world-class difference makers. Now, that doesn't mean that we stop buying what got us to here, right? I think Jorel Hato is a player that we're strongly looking at for this summer. 18 years old, very promising, has that experience already, but obviously isn't the finished article yet. So those signings will still exist. Onana worries me because Sean Dyche doesn't want him. And there may be different reasons for that. Maybe he's more suited to an Arsenal than an Everton. I don't know, but it slightly concerns me that Sean Dyche doesn't want him and would rather not start him. But there is, I do think now we need to strike the balance of bringing in world-class players that are going to make a difference straight away. And you've got to remember, when we started bringing in these younger players, the Ben Whites, the Salibas, we didn't have many options at that point. We weren't a team that top players would want to move to. We didn't have the money to spend. It's, now, Edu said he's got agents ringing him up, offering their players to Arsenal. That wasn't the case 3 or 4 years ago. So, I think we've done a very good job to get to where we are. Ultimately, Arteta could sign pretty much anyone, and I'd back it at this point. He's earned that trust. But I feel like if you spent 105 million on Rice, to make that investment as worthwhile as it possibly can be, you have to invest in the partner to go along with him. If you sell Rice short with his partner, you're not maximizing the 105 million that you spent on him in the first place. So we'll see. It's a tricky market. Like Nobbins said, the 6 market, I don't think it's brilliant. So
No, that's why I think that maybe like 8s or 8-6 hybrids might be better. Like we've mentioned Bruno Guimaraes. These are now players who I don't know enough about, but the people who I trust rate them. There's João Neves at Benfica. There's Mats Vijver at Feyenoord, I think. He's apparently incredibly highly rated. I know you laughed at Onana, but I think that's actually quite a good shout. Whereas with pure sixes, I can't think of too many who would be readily available off the top of my head.
A 6, Nobbins. If they renew Jorginho and they are planning to put Declan Rice there, khalas, there's 2 6s. You don't need another 6. You need 2.
Jorginho is only a year though.
Yeah, but for now, there are other areas, as Nobbins said. Like the market is tricky now. Address other areas and leave these 2 to ride the next season. They're good enough, right? Am I wrong? They're good enough for next season.
I'd be worried if Rice
This is related. For Arsenal, it's a no-brainer. Frankie de Jong, OIS, is the best available player that can control tempo from deep and keep the momentum with this quick releases from deep like Jorginho and Partey.
Is he available? I thought he had a very expensive contract.
He doesn't. He does. That's a myth. So he did not get paid during COVID. So what he's getting paid now is more than double his wage for the years that he didn't get paid.
Right.
His wages, actually, I just checked it, is 320 K euros, not pounds. I'm going to check it again.
Yeah, you're right. He's getting like 700K, or he's meant to be getting like 700K a week at the moment. But that's because they're paying off all of the debt effectively that they owe him in unpaid wages.
So how long? But he's still under contract, yes?
Yes.
I'm checking.
It was a long contract.
Yeah, so he's not available because he's not going to leave a club where they're paying him a lovely fat amount of deferred wages, are they? Well,
probably not. But
I guess he could have been mad.
They might have to find.
It expires in 2026, so he has 2 years left.
Yeah.
Yes.
After this,
I'd argue that unless Arsenal are willing to pay his deferred, because Barcelona aren't going to pay up front the amount, and as we learned from the whole Man United drama like a season or so ago, he's not going to leave, is he?
But no. So Barca might have to just stomach paying the deferred wages to at least get him off the bill for the next 2 years, because their wage bill's got a ridiculous cap on it now that they can't afford currently. So it might be that they have to stomach the deferred wages, but at least it gets 300 and however much a week off their books for the next 2 years.
Well, what if Frankie doesn't want to leave? What if he's just like, well, chilling here?
Well, yeah, but at that point, if they said, okay, we'll pay your deferred wages and you can go to Arsenal where they'll pay you the same amount you're on here, then he'd be fine.
Is Frankie de Jong the right player for Arsenal, though? This is it.
One off.
Be interesting. Yeah.
He's one off, yeah.
Yeah. He probably suits that mold, doesn't he? He can play a bit of the 8, a bit of the 6, as I understand it. That probably would be.
He's a ready-made player. Tom wants them to go sign Onana, maybe.
I just don't know whether it's practical or not based on the money factor, because with Barca, that always seems to be the issue with them. That's the only reason why they've not signed, Cancelo and Bernardo, because it's all about the money.
Players. Yeah, here are the players that I think Arsenal should target: Kvaratskhelia or Rafael Leao, right? Florian Wirtz, right, from Leverkusen.
Okay.
They should go and try to sign, for example, someone that is ready-made. They should go to Juventus and try to sign Locatelli as a backup 6, for example, as a backup 6. Locatelli from Juventus. They might go and buy Vlahovic, right? These caliber of players that are ready. Don't go and try. I don't like Vlahovic. He's not my cup of tea at all, by the way. But Vlahovic is a backup striker, for example. You need stuff like that. Going and buying, trying to buy Isak. Of course, if you can get Isak, that's like, that's a bullseye. But I doubt that Newcastle will sell Isak to Arsenal, to be honest. I doubt.
I don't really want. Yeah, they probably won't. No, I was going to say, I don't really want to go near Serie A. You've just listed a load of Serie A players. I'd rather stick away from
but his Kvaratskhelia is a very good left winger for you. He's direct. I think he can play that Martinelli role better. Unless you're looking at someone else. What I mean is that ready-made players that play Champions League. That's my point.
But I don't see the point personally in pivoting from this model when it is what has been success for Arsenal at this point. Because if they pivot and they go for a big name superstar and it doesn't work out, what is the next step? Because let's not act like that isn't a possibility. Where the big name superstar comes in and it just doesn't work out for whatever reason.
But
he doesn't suit
why
the
wouldn't
league,
it work? Why wouldn't it work?
He doesn't suit the league. He has injury problems. He doesn't partner well with whoever he's got. There could be a multitude of reasons why it doesn't work, but let's not act like there hasn't been big name superstars who have come to this league and all of a sudden they've struggled. They've not hit the ground running. They look a shadow of what they were when they bought them. And this isn't just a Premier League one. This is all leagues in general. A lot of players who go to Serie A struggle at points. A lot of players who go to La Liga struggle at points. But when you buy ready-made, you are getting that player. Whereas if Arsenal stick with the recruitment model they've got, they get the tutelage of Arteta, who gets to mould them into exactly what he needs them to be, which is why they have so much success right now, because it almost seems like every player is tailor-made for their role. You buy ready-made.
I actually don't think you're right.
But you can still do that with not necessarily ready-made, but Declan Rice was in that world-class bracket, and we've still molded him already into a different player.
He was in what? He was in what?
I wouldn't say Declan Rice had to do anything new, though, because people seem to forget that a lot of the times...
Oh my God, I'm going to get a headache again.
A lot of the times that Declan Rice has played for England, he's been at the base of a possession dominant side. So it's not like he had to all of a sudden learn how to play out from the back or whatever. He has been doing that at points in his career. Whereas my point would be, let's just look at, I'm going to throw just a random example out there. You buy a midfielder who all of a sudden has never really played in a double pivot. And then they've got to learn how to play in a double pivot, when to go forward, when to go back, get communication right, no structure. It's easier to do that and more sustainable to do that with a 22-year-old than with a 27, 28-year-old.
But you also run the risk that they never reach the potential, right?
You do, but then that's where you put your trust in the manager. And I think Arteta's track record of developing these young players is very good. So he's almost... It's one of the aspects that you bank on and go, we can afford to buy young and we can afford to buy, a little bit raw, because we've got one of the best in the league at developing that talent and extracting the most out of it, which is what clubs should do, which is why I think Chelsea need to, if they're going to sack Poch, their focus needs to be on finding a manager who is elite development and not focus on trophies, because that's not what the squad's built for. You have to buy to your manager's strengths. And for me, Mikel Arteta's biggest strength is his play development and the level he can make these young players reach. I don't see why you would all of a sudden pivot away from that model.
You have to move on. Khalas, you have to move on. You're not going to be a developing manager all your life. Buy ready-made players, make it work with him. You're absolutely thinking that he can't work with stars. This is the time when Mikel Arteta proved that he's a big manager now. You cannot just keep developing players, Tom. It might not. It's very risky business.
It's not risky though. It's not. If you're good at it, it's not. There's no risk. If you're good at developing, there's no risk. That's a stone cold fact.
Rory, may I ask? Sorry, Rory. Go on.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, because I was just having brain thoughts. Timber was purchased, I imagine, to do the Zinchenko situation where he inverts into midfield. Is that correct?
Yeah, but more of a player that can do it off either side.
Yeah. So the final Arsenal form would be, the back three of whatever, Saliba, Gabriel, White, and then ahead of them Rice and Timber, I suppose. What's Timber like? Do you know, in respect of because my main issue with Rice as a defensive midfielder is I question his ability to receive the ball with his back to play under pressure, if that makes sense. That's like my main gripe with him when he plays for England, for example. Just comparing him, I know it's not a fair comparison, but comparing him to Rodri, for example, that's one of his main strengths. Is Timber good at that? Do we know? Because if so, then that just sort of makes me even more convinced that Rice should just be the 6 for Arsenal.
Yeah. So from what we saw it's hard to tell from the limited amount of time that we saw him, but Timber is unbelievably good at receiving the ball, turning his man, and driving into space. That's a big difference. Is that he'll comfortably take the ball on the half turn and run with it. And I think that's so. Yeah, I would imagine that between the two of them, they would complement each other well.
Yeah,
and at that point, you'd see Rice in the 6.
Yeah, that's made me even more convinced. Then, yeah, Rice should be the 6, and Timber should be his partner in possession. You need Odegaard ahead, and then you need a left central midfield. Yeah, yes. I'm very convinced. If Timber is the player you say he is, as I've not watched enough of him.
Yeah.
Then that's definitely it's not even a question for me. You got Rice there, one of the best defensive midfielders in the world. Partner him with a properly press resistant player like Timber. It seems have an actual Xhaka replacement ahead of him in 8-6, whether that's Bruno Guimaraes, Mats Vijver, whoever. Yeah, there you go. We've cracked it, boys. Arsenal confirmed need an 8 rather than a 6 if you had to pick.
There we go.
Ben is saying, Mo, why not sign Ivan Toney for a striker? Lee Gunner say it for years.
Don't Arsenal actively dislike Toney? Oh,
yeah,
Tommy muted, matey. Tommy muted, matey.
Why not Ivan Toney?
Tommy's still muted.
See,
I'll say it a 4th time if you want.
Now, I don't see why everyone looks at Ivan Toney as just like creme de la creme, piece de resistance, the key to Arsenal. He's got 4 goals since he returned. He's been dropped a couple of times by Thomas Frank because he's not doing the job that is required. He had a really good year last year, so he's basically had a worse Ollie Watkins season last year. He's 28.
I'd rather get Solanke.
He's 28, so there's no room for development, and he has absolutely zero experience in the competitions that Arsenal want to win in the Champions League. So how is he the solution when you're going to sit there and go, there's so many question marks around him? Not to mention the fact that it's well documented that Arsenal don't like his attitude.
What is it that Toney would offer this Arsenal side which Havertz currently doesn't?
Very little at this point.
Dodgy interviews.
Tony's a better finisher, fine, but Havertz's main sort of responsibility, it seems to be, it's almost sort of causing chaos and winning second balls and being good in the air. That's one of Tony's main strengths, I'd say, and Havertz can do that. So if you're going to get a strike, I feel like you should pivot away from a similar sort of skill set from Tony. Sorry, from Havertz. Tony seems to be a little bit too similar. Obviously, he's going to be better 9 because he's a striker, and Havertz hasn't always been that his career. So. For me, that would be a waste because he's not going to be cheap. That would be a waste of funds for me for Arsenal. It's going to be, I don't know how much Brentford would want. Let's be on the more conservative side and say £50 million, a very conservative amount. That just seems like a waste of 50 million, which could be pumped into, getting a really good striker who would actually benefit for you for 70, 80 million or something. Yeah, I don't like the Tony shout. Sorry.
Nor do I.
We need. I'm going to tell you so. I'm going to actually ask a question now. We need a speed demon as well. Only City of Europe's elite don't have one. We don't have that. They have Doku. We don't have that get out of jail speed on the counter. Asani, Aveni, and Adeyemi. I thought Saka was supposed to be that guy. Saka was so quick. Martinelli's that guy as well.
We have Martinelli.
Thank you, Tevin, for the support in the super chat. Well, you have Martinelli. So why not Martinelli, Tevin? I don't know. Go ahead, Rory.
No, yeah, we have Martinelli. Saka's never been at full speed. Saka's never been as rapid. But in terms of, that kind of extreme pace, Martinelli's the best that we've got. The issue with Martinelli is he just needs to get his head up more. He gets his head down and runs, and he won't lift his head up until he's basically ready to shoot.
I think he's also been the victim of a lot of the Xhaka departure as well. He's been the biggest victim of that because now he seems to be more, or last season, I don't know the exact data, he just seems to be popping off shots however many times a game just because he was closer to goal, he was a bit more central, whereas I don't have any data to back this up. This is just what my eyes are telling me. This season he just seems to be way more shunted and forced out to the wide areas. I don't know if that's actually true. I don't know if you agree.
They can buy Darwin Nunez, I think.
That's what. Right. Okay. Let's chill.
Yeah. No, thank you. He's far more isolated this season in terms of the distance from any other player on the pitch to Martinelli. The isolation is unbelievable. And I don't feel like he has. Xhaka used to make underlapping runs that provided another option for Martinelli that we don't see as much anymore. And so most teams just put 2 men on him, force him down the wing, and leave him with very few options. He has also, his shot conversion rate has really dropped this year as well. So there's a combination of things, but I think massively he's been the biggest victim of just the whole left-hand side not having the stability and consistency it had last season. You know, we've rotated between effectively 4 different left backs throughout the season, and kind of 3 or 4 different left central midfielders, and he's, you know, paid the price for that. But
last thing I want to say before we move on from this Arsenal thing to Man City and Liverpool, what is going to happen to Kai Havertz though? He's your loved ones now, all of you guys and Arsenal fans, but all of you say we want a striker. So what is going to happen to this guy? Is he going to turn into a bench player?
No.
Who Havertz?
So first of all, I think he's massively, if we do sign a striker this summer, whoever it is, Havertz has massively alleviated the pressure of that signing, because there won't be any pressure for them to come in and hit the ground running. And I think if we talk about the way that Arteta develops players, I think any player coming in will benefit from being given the time to adapt, and we can start next season with Kai Havertz, no problem. Beyond that, you've got healthy competition between Kai Havertz and whoever we bring in. And Havertz is a versatile option that I still think can drop into the midfield when he needs to. I think he could play off one of the wings in certain games. And look, ultimately, that's the way it's going to be. Yeah, maybe Kai Havertz does spend, 50% of the season.
You can also change systems. You can also have multiple systems. You know, there's a world where if you sound like a true 9, there's a world in which for certain games maybe you don't play Odegaard and you play this 9 and Havertz as more of the shadow, the second striker. Sorry, you've got them bouncing off each other. So it's not a case of one plays and the other is like relegated to not getting as many minutes, because Arsenal will play a lot of games next season. Obviously, they'll play 50 to 60 games, however many. It's like City, we've got a lot. You're
assuming, of course, that they're gonna go deep in the Carabao Cup, in the FA Cup, in the Champions League. That's assumption.
Well, yeah, because Arsenal are a good. Yeah, they should do. They're a good side, Arsenal. So, yeah,
we have to make sure we've got the squad to do that. That has to be the ambition. So,
all right, yeah.
I mean, as a minimum, pretty much everyone expects Arsenal to get out the group stage of the Champions League, so I'm going to include that. As a minimum, sides are playing 38 league games, 8 Champions League games. That's if they go out in the first round. In fact, no, it's more now, isn't it? It'd be 10 potentially.
Oh yeah, because 8 in the new group stage, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a guaranteed 8. Probably for Arsenal should be 10 minimum. At least, and let's say if they drew Man City both times in the cups and got knocked out, that's another 2. So they're playing 50 games a season at the bare minimum. They're going to need options anyway. There's going to be plenty of game time to go around. I'd look at Havertz and I see a player who, if you buy a striker, he can still do a job up top. But I think if you wanted to, I don't know, he'd be very good. Havertz gives you the option to buy a goal-scoring winger, though, because that's someone who can link up, and that's someone who can play off the winger. So if everyone's expecting you to buy this goal-scoring striker, and all of a sudden you're getting placed out on the market for these strikers, Arteta could just go, okay, what about if we buy a goal-scoring winger and have them being inside forward and use Havertz as almost a target man, false 9 type of mould to play it into that guy who can score the chances, or hold it up for that guy or Saka to get onto the end of it. I think that's what works. Havertz is an extremely versatile forward. Is he going to have? Does he have problems at points? Yeah, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a striker on the market who doesn't have a flaw. Everyone mentions, Isak is the perfect guy. Isak likes an injury. So what do Arsenal do if they go spunk 70, 80, 90 million on Isak, and then all of a sudden hamstring goes, which is not an outlandish proposition with his injury history. Hamstring goes and you're gone for 2 months. And then Arsenal are back at the same point that they were. I feel that Havertz up front gives them a unique get-up, and just from watching football in the Premier League in general, every team has tried to move away from the false 9. So for a number of years, every team wanted a false 9. And, City done it with Kevin De Bruyne. We have Firmino. Jesus was doing it at points for City. And then when he went to Arsenal, it felt at times that he was supposed to be this false 9 that would drop in and link up. And everyone starts to move away from that now. And the whole notion is you need a big guy up top who runs in behind and this, that, and the other. I don't think the false nine time has died yet. I still think there's a lot of success to be had with a false nine because a lot of the wings are still goal-scoring wingers. And a lot of teams in pushing fullbacks on or trying to invert fullbacks or this, that, and the other have not neutralised wingers. You can still get good output from these wingers. So I think it could be a bold move if Arteta just decides to stick with false nine and buys goal-scoring wingers and goes, we're going to play it this way and we're going to cause all these overloads. And if you've got White there and if you've got Timber inverting and all of a sudden you are putting 5, 6, 7 men forwards, but you're covering all the spaces and you've got so much tight link up, teams will struggle against that. If he goes for the big striker, he goes for the big striker. Maybe that's how Arsenal want to set up. But I think the team that reverts back to a false nine first could still ride out on success with it because I don't think it's been stopped. I don't think it's been neutralised in football yet.
I agree.
I concur.
So you think Kai Havertz can be a centerpiece for Arsenal, Tom? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't think he'd be the best player, but I think he could be one of the most important if they want to play a false nine, 100%, because there's not many on the market who can do all of what he does. His biggest problem is always the consistency, but Arteta seems to have unlocked consistency with him. He always had the skill set at Chelsea.
He was that guy at Leverkusen. He was the playmaker, the forward, the guy that drops deep, get the ball. He was that guy.
You saw it at Chelsea. It was just always the consistency. There's a reason why they ran with this thing. No, because March Havertz was the thing where for the month of March, Kai Havertz was always producing really good for Chelsea,
bro.
Yeah, but the worst thing that
you can't just point out Chelsea and go, oh, well, that means he's a crap player. No, you've seen the moment he's moved into a system, a club with stability and a system with stability, all of a sudden you can see the skill set is there. I don't see why it wouldn't be a bad move for it to happen. He's always had this quality there, but inconsistency and the poor structure at Chelsea never really exemplified it. Let's bear in mind, he was played up front, but the whole point of playing a Kai Havertz up front, in my opinion, is to have a goal-scoring winger or a goal-scoring forward alongside him to link up forward. Who was that goal-scoring forward at Chelsea? Mount? No.
That was the issue.
No.
That was the issue.
So Havertz was linking up.
I'm still convinced that if they signed someone else instead of Kai Havertz this season, you might have had like 4 or 5 more points. Even though he did great second half of the season.
We'll never know.
That's all ifs, buts, and maybes, isn't it?
It is, but I'm looking at the way he tried to play him.
Sold a separate issue
because the problem with him in his price tag and Timber's injury, if Arsenal used that money to buy a forward or even a left 8 that was fit from the beginning of the season and played well, they might have had a better season.
No, but let's keep it real, Mo. They wouldn't have bought both. I don't think there was a world where they were buying a striker and a midfielder in the last window once they bought Rice. So they were going to get one or the other. If they bought a left 8 and he was a really good left 8, Arsenal's problem would then be, fuck, our attack is a bit blunt because Jesus is massively out of form and doesn't look the same after the knee injury. And we've got to play a Dean Nketiah up front or a Trossard up front. It doesn't unlock the best out of them. Or they buy an attacker and it's, wow, yes, our attack is amazing. But Declan Rice is doing an awful lot of work here because the 8 isn't really pulling his weight, and you know he's got to cover 2 man's job with one.
Whereas Kai Havertz, the 8 was so bad.
Yes, but that Havertz has now solved a separate problem, and he still offers good defensive work. Is he the greatest defender? Nobody offers good defensive work. I don't think Havertz is a bad buy because of what he's become.
Not in the long term. I can't say that.
I don't think he's cost Arsenal necessarily in that sense either, because I wouldn't pin the bad results of Arsenal on Kai Havertz and say him being there is the reason why they've ended up in this spot, or it was the spot that was exploited by teams, because I struggle to find a game where they drop points where Kai Havertz was the spot that was exploited. As a matter of fact, teams that have tried to exploit Kai Havertz have often ended up playing into his hands, and he's had good games around them, because he's able to link up and get into the final third and offer something. So I think he's a good option. I think that there's a lot. He's opened up. He's given Arteta a real nice dilemma to have as a manager in terms of what to do this summer.
Moving on from Arsenal, because I know it's people's interesting topic, right? Arsenal. But I want to go on to What should we talk about on Man City, Nobbins?
Is there anything to talk about on Man City?
Or we shouldn't talk about Manchester City?
I don't know. I don't know what there is to talk about. To be fair, we obviously play Fulham. I think we've now got a fully fit squad, which is nice because I feel like we haven't had that in a minute, which is really good to see.
Sure.
Haaland's, got 4 against Wolves, so hopefully he's back amongst the goals. Edison's injury, well, he wasn't injured, was he? He came back immediately. I don't know what there is to
so
talk
weird that they said he's out, and it's just
he's done this
one
before,
day
to be fair.
later
Like,
he's fit.
No, yeah, like it was. I think he got injured at Anfield, didn't he? And they were like, "Oh, it looks really bad." But he's apparently like a bit of a physical freak, and he just sort of like came back in like record time. And it's like, so it's brilliant, fair play. Sort of like De Bruyne, like where it's like just like dedicating the gym, I guess, and they just come back immediately. I don't. In terms of like the specifics of this weekend, I don't really know what there is to talk about. To be fair, we obviously play Fulham. We should beat them. There was like a fun video, Fulham players flying kites this week, which I thought was quite cute. So they're obviously.
I tweeted that. I think Fulham. You know what Fulham tweeted the day after? Hard work and stuff like that. The day after.
They've tweeted about 4 tweets since the kites.
Saying that hard work. Yeah.
Yeah, all with ex-Arsenal players. All about how they're working hard and they're going to fight, and we saw you flying kites.
I thought it was really cute. But yeah,
who are you trying to?
Well, we've had our City rundown now because I didn't can't think of anything else that's happened.
I had this argument with Hamza yesterday and with HUSAM as well. That I actually, it's us trying to find the flaws, and I actually, after Real Madrid went to the final, if Carlo Ancelotti win that final, I think Man City have underachieved massively in Europe, being the favorites in every single time you played Europe, and you won it once, arguably in your best time ever.
Yeah, well, that's the Champions League, isn't it? Best team doesn't always win it. That's why. Where are Dortmund in the German league? Are they 4th, 5th?
5th.
Yeah. So the 5th best team in Germany is going to be at least a runner-up in the Champions League. Like, this is the beauty of the competition.
But does that mean you underachieved, though?
Yeah, well, in the same way that
there have been years where they did, but I wouldn't say necessarily this year they underachieved.
You mean this season, or just like generally? Sorry.
No, under Pep, 8 seasons, if I'm not mistaken, since 17, 18. So 7 seasons, right?
7.
I'd have liked
you were favorites like 6 of them.
Yeah, I'd have liked us to have gotten to more finals. We've gotten to 2, haven't we? But it's hard to quantify it because, again, the best team doesn't always win it, and it's knockout football. So I guess yes, if like if you're looking at City as they're the favourites every time, we basically will always be favourites whatever competition we go into, it seems. If you look at it from that perspective, then yeah, sure. There are some seasons
if Jurgen Klopp with a weaker team and a less budget reached 3 finals, won 1, I think he achieved more.
I'll put it this way with City. Early years, there's the argument there, but in these last 3-4 years, each of the times they've went out has been to the greatest side the competition's ever seen, and the side who, for all intents and purposes, have been second favourites in Real Madrid, and one time they beat them. Early years when they were going on to Monaco, and then the year after they went on to us, and the year after that it was
Lyon.
Spurs. Then it was
Lyon.
Then it was Chelsea.
But like again,
all garbage teams.
Yeah, but like you can look at those.
We say that, and then you look at that, and then 2 of the 4 teams that knocked them out in that first 4 years went to the final.
But that's the point, that he underachieved because these teams went to the final.
Again, like if you're looking at it with just the lens of did they get to the final or not, then the answer is yes. Because I did a video on this ages ago where I actually looked at City's exits in every single time. Against Monaco 16-17, it was Pep's first season. I don't think that you can really blame us for that. And also we went out on away goals, and it was a really exciting Monaco side. 17-18, Klopp's Liverpool was City's kryptonite that year. Also, there were some weird refereeing situations there, but I'm not going to say that was the reason. But so I think there is. No, I'm not going to say. I think there is some relevant context there. 18-19, Aguero misses a penalty at Spurs in an era when away goals still exists. Massive thing to happen. Llorente then scores a handball goal, which he admits was a handball, and then there's like a very marginal offside. So that's a harsh one. 1920 against Lyon was a weird season because it was COVID. It was also a one-off game, if memory serves. And Laporte had the worst game I've ever seen him play.
Sterling missed a wide open
yeah,
goal.
and Sterling missed a tap in, so I can't blame Pep for that. I blame him. I do blame him in part for the final. In my opinion, not playing a defensive midfielder was a bit crazy. What was it the year after that? That was at the Real Madrid. Yeah, and again, that infamous graphic of percentage chance to win 99%, like the 89th minute. Pep did everything right there. He made the defensive changes. He brought on a more controlled player in Grealish. He brought on Fernandinho for I think he brought on Ferner for some more experience. And his players capitulated within 2 minutes. I don't think you can blame Pep for that. Because he got his team into the right position. We were leading by 2 goals in the 89th minute and we didn't win. So I don't think you can say that's on Pep. Season after. We won, obviously.
He's making that thing is like there's nothing on Pep. It's just everything is
no. But I clearly said that the final was his error because, in my opinion, starting a defensive midfielder was the wrong thing. But if we're looking at it on an individual level, there have been. Again, you can name a season, and I can give you some pretty apt context outside of 2021, which again I fully accept. Was his fault. Even this season, again, De Bruyne.
I can say you literally won the Champions League last season because Lukaku and Lautaro Martinez were donkeys in front of the goal, and Lukaku literally blocked the ball from going in your back of the net. I can make that excuse as well. I can say that you only won that final because Lukaku is a donkey and he stood in front of the goal. The ball was going in from a Cherby, and that happened.
I mean,
that's not really the point I'm making, though, is it? That's a
about that. You keep saying that Sterling missed that. Oh, the players capitulated. I can say the same. You could have not won the Champions League last season.
But why is it relevant?
Because
do you understand my point? What is my point?
Your point is that it was all small margins and luck instead of actually failure.
Right.
That's your point.
Yes, which is correct.
So I can say the same for your win, that it was just luck and it wasn't success. It was just luck.
The majority of Champions League victories.
The other team, because
no, you're proving my point. You've proven my point that the majority of Champions League victories have to do with luck.
That's the point.
That's the point of knockout football. To say it's underachieved, I don't know. Again, if you want to quantify it in terms of Champions Leagues won, then yeah, that's fine. But then I don't know what the end. I don't know what the next point of that is. Statement is Pepper's underachieved with Manchester City. What is the relevance?
Yes.
What is it? There is that. Sorry, that's it. There is no wider point.
I can put context to everything. Why?
I'm just trying to establish what the point is.
Is the whole argument Pepper's underachieved with Man City?
Because I could say, well, Fergie underachieved with United in Europe. I could say the same. Well, Fergie in 30 years or whatever only won the Champions League twice,
but
so he underachieved.
Alex Ferguson, most of the times they went to the Champions League, they weren't favorites to win the Champions League. It was always AC Milan, Juventus, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. I can pick the years where you were favorites the majority of the difference is Pep built this machine that dominated English football and arguably the best team in the world. Am I wrong here, or am I bugging? Didn't he build the best team in the world over the past 3, 4, 5 years?
Yes, right. But
he did.
Did he win? Does not exist in a vacuum where it's the only competition that Manchester City compete in every year. And
I get the point.
Seasons are built around that.
But
the fact of the matter
is, it's all about Europe.
It's not all about Europe though for Man City. It's a well-known fact, especially when they've been focusing on league titles and they are about to. Well, not about to, because obviously you don't know how the season's going to end. But they look like they are going to four-peat the league for the first time in English football history, or in Premier League history at least. But I think it is English football history. About to four-peat for the first time ever. I think ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, if Pep Guardiola pulls off achievements like that and results like that, what he's achieved in a knockout competition is pretty irrelevant in City fans' eyes. And again, it is knockout football. How many times has the best team not won the Champions League? It's the thing of the Champions League. Let's be real, it is.
I'm not
How
laughing
many
at you.
times has
I'm
the best
laughing at
team not won?
people in the chat are wild, bro. They're wild. Go ahead.
Like, if I go back in years, so last year, City were the best side and they won it. But on another day where Lukaku's not a donkey in front of goal, City might lose that final. Everyone goes, oh, mental. The year before that the final we played with Real Madrid, we went into that final as favourites, didn't win. The year before that, City went into that final as favourites, didn't win. The year before that, Bayern went into the final as favourites and won. Then Liverpool went into the final as favourites and won. And then you had the three-peat of Madrid. Then Barca and Juve were pretty neck and neck, if I remember rightly, because Juve had a decent season that year. The year before that, Atleti went into the finals favourites because they won La Liga. Then it was Bayern and Dortmund, and I think Bayern were the favourites that year because that was the treble year. But there's been a lot of instances in the competition's history where the favourites haven't won, or the team or in some cases, the favourites didn't even make the final because it is knockout football and it is the novelty of the competition.
Also, I just want to say we haven't always. Sorry. I just wanted to say we haven't. I know it's like a minor point, but we haven't always been the favourites. There have been at least 2 years under Pep where PSG were the favourites. Just an FYI, like before a ball was kicked. I just thought I'd put that out there.
Also, pretty much. So Real Madrid going to the tournament a lot of the time is pretty much favourites because of heritage in the tournament. You can't discount what the heritage of a tournament counts for. Hence why, even though we can be shit in years, we get further than we should do because heritage and history counts for a lot in knockout football because it's knockout football. And ultimately, it doesn't make sense because it is decided off one-off moments. Judging a team's quality is easier to do over a league season, which is why they are about to.
Yeah, that's why they are amazing. That's why they are amazing.
I don't hold this against Pep Guardiola that he has only won one Champions League. I don't.
With City.
With City, yeah. It's not like Pep Guardiola.
I know why you do. I know why Liverpool fans, some of them defend that.
It is not about that.
I know it is. It's all about the argument that Jurgen Klopp did not underachieve. And you always, do you know, Tom? You always say that. You always say.
I would never say Klopp underachieved in Europe.
Can I finish, please? Am I allowed?
It better be good.
It better be good. Okay.
No pressure.
The thing about it is that Liverpool fans always talk about from our point of view, but that's not how debates work. Like Arsenal fans say, from our point of view, or this. Tom said, from City's point of view, they haven't underachieved because they have not won a Champions League before. That's absolutely the right thing. But that's not how debate works. Because I can go to every debate and say, from the defender's point of view, he is right. From the guy that defends his point, he is right. But that's not how debates work.
Did Messi underachieve in Europe?
Huh?
Did Messi underachieve in Europe?
He won 3 trebles. 2009, 2012, and 2015.
Yeah, one of the greatest player in history. Only 3. Did he not underachieve?
I don't think so. 3 Champions League is good enough for his
greatest player ever. How many did Ronaldo get?
I actually think Messi, didn't underachieve. I think actually Messi is the one who won these trophies. I can argue that without him, they wouldn't win any. So he overachieved.
I could say the same with a lot of Ronaldo. Without Ronaldo, Real Madrid don't three-piece.
You can. Who cares? But
I think this is all a silly argument.
I actually think Messi overachieved. Messi definitely is the one who won them.
Overachieved in Europe. No way Messi overachieved in Europe. No way.
If you see Messi as I see him, he is the one who won the 3 trebles. Not Barcelona, not Suarez. I'm going to ask you one question. Without Messi, do they win any of these trebles? Remove Messi from Barcelona team in any of these years. Do they win 3 trebles?
They don't win all 3. They might, by some luck or virtue, win 1. Because you're not playing with 10 men, but you might win 1, but they don't win all 3.
Do you mean 2 trebles?
I only won 2 anyway, but
yeah.
So is it 215 was not a treble?
No,
2012 wasn't a treble.
2012 Mourinho won the
2009 was the treble and 2015 was the treble.
Okay, so 12 Mourinho won the league, yes.
But no, you
But
can
going back
twist
to Man
argue-
City, my point
you-
about Man City
but-
is very
but
simple.
you
I'm
can
gonna let
twist
you
ar- you
argue
can twist
back.
arguments any-
I'm gonna
you
let
twist
you argue
arguments any
back.
way you
My
want.
point is,
Because I want to stick on the
if
Messi
my-
point. I want to stick on the Messi point.
I
You
don't
can
want to
twist
stick on
arguments
the
any way
Messi
you
one.
want.
I don't want to argue
No, because you
Messi.
can't just drop a bombshell and then leave
It's
the
not a
conversation.
bombshell.
If
It's
I
not
look,
a bombshell.
if I go from 2016 onwards, Lionel Messi didn't win a single Champions League, despite the fact that he was at one point 3-0 up going into a semi-final second leg. He had to play a Juve team 1 year. Who did they
Yes,
got
it's
to in
his
17,
fault
18?
that his team conceded 4 goals. Yes, it's
He's
Messi's
part of that
fault
team, isn't he?
that he had a world-class performance the first
He's
game,
part-
and in the
Mhm.
second, and Ousmane Dembele doesn't want to pass, yes, as a donkey,
Mhm.
right? And his team conceded 4 goals. Yes, it's Messi's fault, by the way.
Never
It's
said it was,
Messi's
but
fault. Yes.
you said it was Messi's fault. I'm just saying, from 2016 to 2024,
I can't
Lionel
believe that
Messi
I'm
did not win a
sitting
Champions
defending
League.
Messi here. I can't believe
But
that
then
we
you
came
go
out
to
point a
PSG.
mile
Mo,
on defending
why
Messi.
didn't he win one? Why didn't he win one with PSG with one of the most expensive squads assembled of all time?
PSG are a bottle jobs, and they have Mbappe, the biggest diva in world football.
So
You
why is there
never
all
play-
these? So why is there all these
It's
excuses
Mbappe
for
FC,
Messi,
bro.
but we can't throw them to others in other scenarios?
Okay, so what's the argument here that Messi bottled it? If I say
No.
yes, would you agree that Pep underachieved? Okay, if I say Messi
Because neither of
underachieved,
them underachieved.
you don't think
I
that he
agree.
underachieved in
No.
Europe?
No, neither did
You
Klopp
can
either.
overachieve in Europe, and Pep's underachievements in Europe would be not winning the Champions League. But he's won it.
Bro, he
So he's
won
not
it when he's
underachieved.
favorites in every single competition, bro.
But again,
They-
they weren't.
they
It
They
goes
are-
back to it goes back to my point. Arsenal's double, if it's not gonna happen.
No, we're not doing this. No, no,
not
I'm
gonna
I'm nipping that in the
happen
bud
now.
right now. We're not doing this
I am
invented
not. I am
shite again.
I am not.
Please,
I'm not.
no.
How that I'm not. Okay, calm down. Calm down.
Please, no.
My point about Pep, and I'm not I said if I'm favorite, okay, let me just put that out there. Inter now are favorites to win the league for the next year and 2 years. If Inter win the league in the next 3 years, okay, we assemble in Italy the best team in Serie A for the next 3-4 years. If we only win it once,
So win what? Sorry, the league or the Champions League?
the league, do we underachieve?
Totally different conversation.
Okay, so let's transition. Rory, can you answer the question, please? If
Which
Inter
one?
assemble the best team in Serie A for the next 3-4 years, and we only win it once, have we underachieved? And by the way, that would be 2 years and 5 years. That would be great, right? Oh my God, we won it twice. If we are
Yes.
favorites every year, we underachieved, right?
Yeah, but they're not comparable because the league is not the same as a Champions League. as a
Thank
Cup
you,
competition.
Rory.
A league is not decided
Thank
on
you,
one game
Rory.
moments. A league is over 38 games or 34 games.
The
whatever
whole
league
point
you're
we're
based in.
making is one is knockout
So
where there's
your point,
variance, the
guys,
other
is
isn't.
all about that the Champions League is decided on small margins, different than the league, and there is no bottling the Champions League. There is no
No,
you
there
being
is.
favored.
There is. So I think fundamentally,
But I
Man
thought
City
you
have
guys
not had
said that the league is harder to win.
It is.
Depends
No.
what team you are.
Okay, so
the
the league is harder
the Champions
to win.
League.
But the Champions,
Champions League
if I
is not-
bottle it, it's all right.
The Champions League is not won by the best team a lot of the time. The Champions League is won by the team that got through the moments. That's all it is. There's certain games City have went out in where they were the best team in that tie. In fact, I would go as far to say, apart from the Lyon game and maybe Monaco in his first year, which I don't really use as a stick to beat him with, what tie that City got knocked out in was City the worst side across both legs?
They haven't been.
They went.
That's a problem. You know what's this one?
How is
They
that-
haven't
how
been
is
the
that a
worst
problem?
side over 2 legs in any of the times they went out.
I'm not. By the way, I'm on about when the games were played, not about what it was going into. I mean, when they
Tell
played them
me one
games.
time where City were the inferior team going to any tie over the past 6 years. Any tie that they went out, inferior team.
That's
Someone
Tom's
name-
point, isn't it?
That is
but
my point. City
But
went
that is
into
also
ties like
my
that,
point.
and then City were
But
the
it-
best.
it's-
City played the best football in the tie. City probably deserved to win, but because of moments, they didn't win. I can't judge a manager on individualistic
Yeah.
moments.
So if
The Champions League is not necessarily the best judgment of a manager's ability.
if like Pep sets up his team in the best manner, and Mo have just accepted there that in basically every single one, City have been the better side. They've been the better side because Pep set them up in whatever manner.
I
The reason The reason why they've got knocked out is because of moments. In what worlds does that then correlate to? Oh well,
when
it's
it happens
Pep's fault.
often, we have to talk about the manager not managing the right moments in the game.
But
Why is Carlo Ancelotti? Do you believe Alex Ferguson was lucky to win all these league titles and then all this Fergie time and push into the lot? Do you believe Madrid are lucky to win the games when they are not best for 90 minutes?
Which tie specifically are you referring to?
Most of the ties, Real Madrid played PSG, they weren't the best. They played
No. Pep
I'm
City,
answering you.
Pep and City. I'm talking about
the majority. The Monaco game, you shouldn't have been knocked out. The Lyon game, yes, you missed chances, but you shouldn't have been knocked out.
Why not?
By the way, the Real Madrid.
The Monaco game is probably the one no one's likely to vote in.
To answer the question, a player missing a chance does that mean the manager now is over the game? When you're the best team, you should manage the game better. That's my opinion.
So this year, Mo, when City went out this year, is that on Pep?
If a manager coaches a win, and one of their players misses a penalty, like Thomas Muller did against Atletico Madrid, or Aguero did against Spurs, or Sterling misses a tap-in against Lyon, why is that anything to do with Pep or the manager? If the manager coaches a win.
Okay, I can answer that. If it happens often, that means he's not coaching a win. Okay, can we just say, if everyone say that a coach keep coaching a win, but they don't win, does that mean he keeps coaching a win?
What?
If we keep saying a manager is coaching a win, and it keeps happening that he doesn't win, but we keep saying he's coaching a win, does that mean in hindsight we are wrong to say that he's coaching a win?
Which tie didn't he coach a win?
Okay, I'm asking you a question in general. Just answer the question in general.
No, but you can use the stick on most
because you mentioned Nobbins many. Okay. You mentioned many examples. You kept mentioning example. Someone missing a chance, a penalty, whatever. I'm asking you, just in hindsight, right? In hindsight, if a coach, we keep saying you're coaching a win, but he doesn't win. Can't we say in hindsight that he's not coaching a win? We're wrong.
No, because again, football is all about moments and individual variants. Because I'll list them again. Like again, 16, 17, fine. Maybe over the course of the time, Monaco are actually better than us. Again, there was a flawed Pep side his first season. Very exciting Monaco side with Benjamin Mendy, Fabinho, Bernardo Silva, Mbappe, Lamar, etc. Not going to hold that against him. 17, 18, I don't know what he's supposed to do because Salah was offside for the first goal. Jesus was not offside for our goal.
Here we go.
The ball went in off Milner, I think. I don't know what he's supposed to do there. 18, 19. Aguero misses a penalty. What's he supposed to do there? In the second leg, Fernando Llorente handballs the goal and admits later that he handballed it. Later on, Aguero's like a fraction offside. What's Pep supposed to do there? 1920. What's Pep supposed to do with Sterling missing a tap-in?
He's not supposed to do things like Jurgen Klopp didn't supposed to do anything when handball or Rodri. When Arsenal can't do anything this year because Doku's penalty against McAllister wasn't given, so Arsenal can't do anything. The push against Gabriel in Newcastle and the ball that went out. Nobody should do anything.
What's he supposed to do? Again, outside of Premier League,
no.
against Chelsea.
Thomas, let me go at this point because you're using the league again for when the two competitions aren't compatible. So
no,
yes,
it is.
You've got to stop doing that.
No, it's not.
When it's small margin, I'm going to repeat that. And I said that from the first time I actually did content. I said, when the league is decided in small margins, we can actually compare both. Because one decision can sway a league towards a team.
But it's not the same.
One moment, I can say
one
penalty not given.
Not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. I'm
your
getting very
opinion.
angry. It's not the same at all. No, it's objective reality.
Let's look at it this way. City, what's subjective? Let's just find a subjective decision that was run against all our sides.
I can argue the same.
For us, McAllister, the penalty with McAllister, yes, that could have been a penalty. But you know what? Do you know why it's different from the Champions League? Because Luton and Brighton were games that fucked us this year, or United were games that fucked us this year, where we dropped points that were on the manager.
Do you want me to argue
City
the
this
point?
Year have had games where they dropped points because of the manager.
I can argue
Arsenal,
the point.
Same thing.
Very
but
simple.
In the Champions League, you can be faultless as a manager and not win the competition because of
I can argue the point.
In a league, individual moments are not going to cost you.
Okay, let me argue back. Let me argue back with one point. 38 games. Okay, 38 games. You can say this game drop point, this game drop point, this game drop point. Here we go. Let me just tell you, in 90 games, yes, the player missed a penalty. You could have coached the rest of the 89 minutes better. Why not? Why not? You didn't coach it better. Bro, I can argue the same exact points every time that you say 38 games. Yes, it's a longer time. 90 minutes is a long time. We're talking about one particular moment in the game. Why didn't you create more chances? Why didn't you not concede chances? Why didn't you not concede here? Why was your midfield wide open? Why didn't you have cover? I can argue the same point.
Which game are you talking about?
I am not. I am arguing points in general.
Well, argue specifics, please. Which tie are we talking about? We're disregarding Monaco 16.
I'm gonna tell you, in the Real Madrid game, you could not have let
which
Real Madrid
one
back in the 3-2 game when they won the 4-2 or something. When they came back in the last minute,
right?
You had multiple chances to
what
kill
did Pep
that
do
game.
Wrong there? What did Pep do wrong?
I don't know. I can't listen. I watch a lot of football. I am not. I'm just putting there hypotheticals. You could have killed the game earlier and not have a chance to leave Real Madrid in the game.
City against
because
Real Madrid
your
in that
players
3-1 loss. City against Real Madrid in that 3-1 loss had more shots on target, and only lower XG in extra time because Real Madrid had a penalty. They also had more possession. What more does Pep have to do there apart from Jack Grealish?
I'm not. By the way, I am not saying Pep in particular. Did Man City? My question was: did Man City, being favourites as a team, underachieve in Europe over the past 8 years, being favourites the majority of the time? The answer is no by you guys, right? While them being favourites
didn't underachieve. City
I'm not talking about Pep. I'm talking Manchester City.
Didn't underachieve, and everything ends up going back onto Pep. You said Pep at the start.
He's the manager.
Pep at the start.
He's not the manager.
Pep, though, because the individual Pep, it's the players. So I'll go to Tottenham. The Tottenham.
By the way, I will accept your argument. Sorry,
Nobbins.
I'm gonna accept the point. If you say it's the players that underachieved, that's absolutely fine. I'm gonna live with that. I'm gonna live with that argument, Tom.
Right. Well,
if you're gonna put it on the players, I'm gonna live with that argument.
For the most part, yes.
By the way, I'm gonna live with that argument, guys. If we're gonna put it,
did it, guys?
That's fine. But that means that whole Man City as an establishment and Pep who got these players and coached these players underachieved. Fair, because we actually put in the managers. Has Liverpool failed as a club? Or Jurgen Klopp? Why is the narrative that Jurgen Klopp underachieved with Liverpool, but it's not with Pep? Because it's the league. He didn't win a lot of cups. Why is Jurgen Klopp underachieved? I can say that the players failed Jurgen Klopp. I can say the same last season about Arteta. Why is it so different for Pep? Why Arteta didn't bottle the league last season and the players failed him, right? While Pep, it's the play. Why it's Arteta and Jurgen Klopp and it's never Pep?
For me,
I know why. I know why. I'm gonna let you talk, Nobbins. Give me 1 second. I know why. Because he plays good-looking football. Because the football looks good and he dominates position. That's it. The argument is different because he plays good football.
No, I hate Pep football, and Nobbins knows that. I hate Pep football with a passion. I think it's the most boring shit in the world. But I don't sit there and go, "Oh, the manager bottled it." No, the club bottled it. The manager isn't responsible for individual mistakes made by players. He can coach that player perfectly, but individual mistakes are not in his thing. So last year, Arteta didn't bottle it. Arsenal bottled it. Players bottled it. Manager bottled it. Everyone as an individual club bottled it together. It's not just he bottled it or she bottled it. With us, we as a football club have bottled moments 100%. Not Jurgen Klopp on his own. You can dissect everything and go, he was to blame for this part, he was to blame for this part. But on a whole, it was literally the club bottled it as a whole. The team, the club, the institution bottled it, not just the individual manager. And context is important in these situations.
I'll say something, then maybe Rory can, because I feel like he's been very patient with us. I don't know whether it's a rhetorical question, Mo, but Ari, Klopp's underachievement. In my opinion, he has not underachieved. But that's based on how I personally rate Liverpool's crop of players. However, it depends on your perspective. I think it was the 21-22 season. As if that's not pretend Champions League doesn't matter anymore. I don't know what that means. I've always preferred to win the Premier League, and I still maintain that. Lots of people in that time period of 21-22 not saying Tom, not saying anyone here in particular, was saying that Liverpool at that moment in time had the best goalkeeper and the best right back and the best centre back and the best left back and the best defensive midfielder and the best 8, and they had the best right winger and they had the best left winger and they had like the best false 9 option. So if people believed that, and I didn't believe all that, but if people believe that at the time, then by definition, yes, from their perspective, Klopp must have underachieved, because you can't have all these best in class players and only win one league title. So, but I don't view all those players necessarily like that. So, from my perspective, no, he didn't underachieve. So, in answer to your question, I don't think Klopp underachieved. Now,
all right, that's good. It's a good debate. It's a good argument. There's no hard feelings. I don't know why
there are very hard feelings.
I don't know why people get upset, bro. When we
you do say mad stuff, though, Mo. To be fair, that is mad. Saying that Pep underachieved in Europe. Thankfully, you've now rescinded that take. But yeah,
no. I'm gonna live with what your take, because you're not gonna understand my point. I'm not convinced with what you said. The Pep is the one who played Raheem Sterling. Pep, okay, you're not gonna let me talk, okay? The fact that I actually said. The fact that I said, okay, I will live with that, doesn't mean I don't put it. I am Mo always. I have the first one to actually talk about is always the manager, because I believe when players don't do well, it's managers and the coaching staff and all this talk. I am not going to scapegoat players the majority of the time. That's it.
It's not scapegoating a player to suggest they should score
That's
a penalty
what your
or a
guys
tap
are
in.
trying to do.
It's no, Mo. Again, it's not scapegoating Aguero to say he should have scored a penalty in an era where away goals exist, because we went out on away goals. So it matters more.
Why do you guys start again?
Mo,
I just said that it's all right. Let's move on.
No, because you just mentioned the individual
why is
mistakes
Tom
on the
so
manager.
upset? This is
because
when I said the cringiest rivalry in world football in the history of the sport is this Liverpool Man City. I wasn't wrong. It's the cringiest rivalry to ever happen. The love.
I'm not even trying to defend City
bro,
on this
you're
point.
defending
I'm
Man
asking,
City, and it's absolutely disgusting.
Don't even know what my point was going to be.
I am
you don't even know what my point was going to be.
Disgusted in my chair.
You don't even know what my point was going to be. If individual mistakes are on the manager, that is the most flawed method of looking at football I've ever seen. So this year,
that is terrible.
This year, when Liverpool played Arsenal at the Emirates, and Virgil van Dijk and Alisson ran into each other, how was that on Jurgen Klopp? Please tell me. Because should Jurgen Klopp have not played Van Dijk and Alisson?
All right, then. Okay, guys, Tom Little just established that football managers just do all the time. They do their job, and it's individual mistakes.
That's
and
not
players,
what he said. What is this gaslighting?
And players actually,
it's not that
it's
linear.
Always, it's most of the time, it's players' fault who don't deliver, who don't score.
No, that's not what he said.
It's not the manager's fault. I can pick in the majority of football games a mistake that happened from a player. Why didn't this player tackle? Why this player went to in this tackle instead of containing? Why this forward moved this way? Oh, by the way, this forward should have passed instead of shooting. Oh, this forward should have shot instead of passing. Oh, this guy didn't deliver the corner well. He could have delivered a better corner. This goalkeeper dived a
you
second
are willfully
late.
misinterpreting Tom's point.
Absolutely. Is what Tom is saying. If we do that in football, we're never going to blame coaches.
No, that's not his point.
My monologue is done. My monologue.
Your monologue was, I don't even know what that was. Key stage 2 Macbeth.
I will use this point based on the fact that we were just talking about City. Nobbins did not say in every single game Pep Guardiola was faultless. I don't think that in every game Pep Guardiola was faultless. Chelsea, the Champions League final, that is mainly on Pep for not starting a DM, and that was pointed out. You can tell a manager mistake, but I can't pin individual mistakes, i.e. missing open goals, on the manager, because the manager has not told them to miss an open goal, or I certainly hope hasn't coached them to miss an open goal, because that same player had 20 goals that season. So he must be shit at coaching if he's coached them to miss open goals and he's scored 20 league goals a season. Football is not linear. It's not a linear way of looking at it.
It's never linear. That's my point, Tom. It's never linear. That's my point. I cannot pinpoint achievements and goals into individual moments. I can't.
You can, though. 100% they're individual moments. 100%. Hence why the Champions League is not won by the best team.
Okay, Rory, Arteta never failed. It's the player's fault. And if he doesn't win the league for the next 5 years...
Arteta hasn't failed or underachieved in Europe either.
Rory, if Arteta doesn't win the league in the next 5 years, it's okay. Because it's always going to be Saka didn't deliver, or Odegaard played bad, or Ryan made a mistake.
Are you guys listening to this gaslighting?
So,
you get... this is
not what Tom said.
Nobbins, this is not gaslighting. This is actually me taking the points that are being made. Tom is not listening to us.
And willfully misinterpreting them.
So hard, Tom. He's not even listening to us, Tom. Anyway, I'm misinterpreting what you're saying, but it's fine. That's how I see this. Let me do this couple of super chat. Rory, go ahead.
I just think you're all not quite right. Like, so Mo's gone too far one way, where there's too much on Pep Guardiola. And I think, so I don't think Guardiola has underachieved in Europe, but I think he's underachieved relative to Ancelotti and to Zinedine Zidane in Europe. But equally, I think Nobbins and Tom take it too far the other way, where you can't just remove, and I know you said that Pep's fault for the one final that you lost, it was on Pep. But for me, when you talk about a cup relative to the league, Man City should win the league because they have the best team. They've spent a lot of money to create the best team. They should win the league. When it comes to cup competitions, it's about mentality. And part of the mentality of the squad, in terms of those big moments that you talk about, if you're consistently missing those big moments, I think there's a mentality issue in the squad. And I think part of the manager's job is to foster that responsibility. And I think that's what Zidane did at Real Madrid. So Real Madrid have this unbelievable mentality where even if they're not having the best season, even if they're not playing the best on the night, they'll find a way to do it. And if you take all of that away from the manager, then what's the point? There's no, you discredit Zidane and Ancelotti if you take away the impact of their job from winning those titles. And if you do that for Pep Guardiola, it diminishes what they've done. So I think there's kind of a middle ground where it's not just on players and moments, because part of that has to be down to the manager. The players that he picks, the players that he signs, and whether those players are capable of stepping up in big moments. But equally, of course, there will be moments that aren't down to the manager. There will be games that the team loses that aren't down to the manager. So there's just...
I don't think I've ever heard an argument that City's mentality is a negative factor. This is a side that won the treble and which has had however many compelling harsh title races with Liverpool. Which season? I need to know which season we're specifically talking about.
Well, if you're talking about moments, if you're talking about year after year, apart from the 1 year where you won it, if you're talking year after year, moments where Real Madrid find a way and Man City don't find a way, what is that then? Just blind luck. It's not on the manager. It's not on players' mentality. What's it on? Blind luck. In which case,
again, I need to know which season were you talking about specifically. Which one?
Specifically,
and I'll give you the answer.
Specifically, every season other than the Chelsea final defeat that you blamed on Pep. Every other season, you put it down to moments.
Yes, because why? Because again, I don't know if you want me to list them again, but in every
I know
time
what the
there are
moments are. But what's your explanation for? Because I'm talking about the consistency of how regularly this happens, right?
You can't provide an explanation for missing a penalty. And it happened at Bayern as well. You can't blame Pep for Thomas Muller missing a penalty against Atletico Madrid. You can't blame Pep for Aguero missing a penalty against Spurs.
You can, and you have to an extent, because otherwise, if there's no explanation for it, in which case it's just luck, we may as well pack up and go home. If the whole thing is just decided on luck. Because it's happening consistently. If it was just a one-off, if Real Madrid won one Champions League in the space of 15 years and Man City won one in the space of 15 years, you could write that off as luck. But when Man City are consistently going into games as the favourites and missing those big moments, and Real Madrid are consistently taking those big moments, is it just luck?
No, again, I think you've totally misunderstood what the Champions League is. It is literally a game. It is literally a competition of moments. That is literally the point of the competition. That's the point of knockout football. It's not a case of, it's not all luck based, but it's not a case of, there's luck involved, so let's pack them and go home. There is variance there in a 90-minute game of football. It's again, Sterling, I've never heard this argument before. Sterling missing a tap-in against Lyon It's got nothing to do with Pep fostering a weak mentality at the club. Aguero missing a penalty at Spurs has got nothing to do with that. Thomas Muller missing a penalty against Atletico Madrid has got nothing to do with that. And Grealish missing a one-on-one in like the 85th minute against Real Madrid is nothing to do with a mentality that Pep has fostered or failed to foster. Us getting knocked out on penalties this season and De Bruyne missing that really gilt-edged chance, who we all know to be a clutch player, is nothing to do with a weak mentality that's been fostered. I've never heard this point before that City's mentality is being questioned. This is very interesting.
You've got no other explanation for it. But that's
the point. There isn't one. That's the beauty of the Champions League. That's why we love the competition.
So we may as well just roll the dice at the start of the season. Give everyone a number and roll the dice.
No, because certain teams are designed for knockout football. Knockout football is more individualistic.
Okay, so Pep has had 7 years to build a team that can win in knockout football and has failed to do it. Then
no, because now you just ran into the point of Pep's season's not built around knockout football, because Pep's job isn't to just win the Champions League. Pep's job is to build a league-winning team.
Okay,
so
in Europe,
league is not about being individualistic. A league.
I'm saying, by the way, I'm not saying he's underachieved. I'm only saying he's underachieved relative to Ancelotti and Zidane in Europe.
But then,
I'd say
they've overachieved. Firstly, Zidane.
Every single manager then has underachieved, considering Zinedine Zidane's setting a bar of 3 in 3 years.
Because not every other team has been managing Manchester City. There's a difference. You're managing the favourites. You're managing the best team.
Which we've established isn't necessarily a factor in the Champions League.
Okay, so here I want to do the super chat because one of them
because the best team doesn't always win it, Rory. That's why.
Yeah. Okay. So that Inter loss has hit you hard, Mo. I promise you, Martin. Wallahi. Okay, I swear that Inter loss has no impact on my argument against Manchester City, and I totally forgot because the best team in that competition at the end won the competition. I'm just happy that my team played the final. I wanted to win, of course, but that has no impact on me, Martin. I promise you that, and I swore on my dad's grave that it's not. MCFC Solo. Mo, do you think all our success and failures is because of Pep? I believe 80% of your success is because of Pep Guardiola. You are too smart to not understand how multi-faceted football is. You're doing it for content. I am not. Okay? I am not doing it for content. Simple as I actually put 70% of Man City's dominance over the past 6 years is to Pep Guardiola. And you will see when he leaves. You will understand what I mean when he leaves. You will definitely understand when he leaves. Martin, big up Martin. Thank you, Martin. You didn't have to do that, but appreciate the support for the channel. Garbage Rory. That's okay. That's directed to Rory. Your fans claimed best defense, best midfield 1 week, and City have majorly dropped now. If we have the best squad, which agenda is it for which week? Sick of it flip-flopping.
Okay, so you're taking what? I don't know what you're doing here. So you're taking...
How are you saying City are favourites this season?
No, but this is the mistake that people fall into all the time, where you've taken things that other people have said and compared it to what I've said, and then said, you're acting as if I'm being hypocritical on behalf of other Arsenal fans that have their own opinion. But... if I've come out and said Arsenal have the best midfield, the best defense, then fine. But I haven't done that. So
I said that.
Yeah, but you said that, but I haven't.
And so that's why I'm going to answer it, Martin. Very simple. Before we do a show together in 2 days, City have the better squad to challenge in the Champions League and the league, and have the better manager. Arsenal have stepped up, and they have the best defense in the league and the best offense. But anyway, I think we're going to finish soon now. What Nobbins is basically saying is that managers can't have tactics and strategies to tackle the Champions League. Just go into gung-ho.
No, that's not what I said at all. It's not basically what I said. It's not remotely close to what I said. Rewind and watch again. It's not even worth my time responding to that because it's so wrong. You may as well have just spoken Arabic to me because it would have made as much sense. You may as well have spoken to me in French. The amount of good that super chat did. That's not what I said. It's not remotely close to what I've said. Come on, like what are we doing here, man? Come on. Can we have like an actual conversation, or are we just gonna make up what everyone said? Yeah, and Rory said that Nigel Winterburn is a greater footballer than Pele. That is the equivalence there. That's the equivalent there. There is no the distance between those two statements is the exact same thing there.
I'm gonna say what I understood from you, Nobbins, and correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm sorry, I actually need to go right now. Am I okay to dip?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you. I'm not leaving because I'm angry. I have another appointment. I need to go.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
Tom, hold the fort because I can't trust these two fraudsters. Yeah, he's literally
hold on.
He's literally did a super chat. Literally, right? Genuinely, that makes as much sense as your previous super chat. I'm not even being facetious. That genuinely makes the exact same. Now all I need is one in French, and it'll be the exact same thing. Yeah, guys, I need to.
Exactly what he's saying. He's saying what Nobbins say. Basically, is that managers should not have tactics and strategy.
Yeah, again, it's the exact same meaning there. Big up to you. So I'm going to head off.
Go ahead. What Nobbins say is that managers can only do so much, and they can put the tactics right, and it's down to the players to perform. That's what Nobbins is saying, right?
Yes.
This is mine, and Tom is saying the same, right? Managers can do so much. Rory's saying it's only down to them. But anyway, there's one more super chat before we end. Jerome is saying Footy Judge Mo is corrupt and his logic is flawed. For some people only, Jerome. For some people only. Maybe my logic is flawed, but I'm really convinced about what I'm saying. Super chat in Arabic is crazy. Anyway, appreciate everyone that joined us. This has been the irrational league today for some people. But I enjoyed this. As I say, this is my favorite show of the week now. It's absolutely amazing. I don't know why Tom is so upset. Why are you guys upset with the arguments?
I'm not upset.
Okay.
Ultimately, this argument paints Klopp in a better light.
Yes. The answer is absolutely yes. He's the one they got Lukaku. He's part of the managers. They could have gotten someone better in the beginning of the season, and he played the wrong lineup. Yes, it's his fault. Even though it's in moments, it's his fault. He could have done better. I hope, by the way, I have the same thing. Thank you, everybody that joined us. Appreciate you guys. And I want to say something. Tom Little, Rory, and Nobbins' channel is in the description. They are pinned always in the description. Go and support them. Rory today, 6:30. You're going to see him today at 6:30. You're going to enjoy his Arsenal takes. Absolutely brilliant. Provide news and updates, match previews and match reviews daily, of course. And Tom Little is doing content now, live shows on Monday morning before he goes with us. Bravo, Tom. Thank you so much for providing people content. Appreciate everybody that watched us, and we'll see you guys soon. We are out.